So I think most of us probably expected a loss in this one. I mean, really, when you look at the Grizzlies and how they match up against the Bulls with their size, number one in rebounding, number one in shot blocking in the league, they have Morant, who has just been balling out and playing an MVP level caliber type player, and the Bulls were without Lavine, their two best perimeter defenders in Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. Like, what would you really expect from the outcome of this game? To be honest, I'm surprised the result wasn't even worse than what we saw. And really, up until about midway through the third quarter, the Bulls actually hung around and held their own. The energy and effort could have been better, and I'll talk about a couple of guys that have been really bothering me in terms of their overall level of effort in a little bit. But the point is, we shouldn't have expected to win this game, with our key defenders being out and going against one of the best teams in the league. Just unfortunate that it's our fourth straight loss, and the Bulls got beat down pretty badly yet again on national TV, which as Bulls fans really sucks because it further perpetuates this narrative that the Bulls aren't that good for those national media pundits that don't actually follow or watch the team. But anyway, as for this game and what we saw, I mean, what I will say is I was surprised by the level of energy that the Bulls came out with in the first quarter, despite the circumstances of playing a lot of games recently, their fifth game in 7 days, traveling yet again on the road, being without some of their best players. They still played hard and actually trying to make it a competitive game. Second quarter, though, the Bulls kind of faltered a bit. I believe the Grizzlies went on a 16-0 run at one point, and even though the Bulls closed the gap by halftime and actually got the game within 6 in the third quarter, the Grizzlies exploded at the end of the third and to kick off the fourth, where they ended up taking a lead by over 25 points at one point. But what I will say, though, that was encouraging was that these guys didn't give up. Like we have seen recently, they've been giving up when they're going down by more than 20 points into the fourth quarter. But no, today they kept pushing, they kept fighting, even went on a couple of runs, and actually made it a respectable game. Wasn't enough, obviously, and to be honest, Demar looked the most engaged than he had all game in the fourth quarter. But what I want to start with are some of the guys that I have been disappointed in terms of their overall level of effort and energy recently, and that's Demar Derozan and Nikola Vucevic. Now, obviously, Demar has had an incredible season, MVP level caliber player for the Bulls, and as Bulls fans, we have loved how he has performed so far this season, and he's been a huge reason for the Bulls' success so far this year. Nobody has questioned his effort and his dedication to this team. But in the last few games or so, he hasn't been as engaged. Now, part of that might be he's a seasoned veteran, he's had deep playoff runs, and it's hard to stay engaged and not hit that mid-season wall. I'm sure fatigue is also a factor at his age. He's got a lot of mileage and minutes under his belt, so, to keep that same level of energy for a full 82 games is going to be challenging when you've been in the league for so long. But when his energy is down, he's playing minimal defense, and his shots aren't falling down as frequently as we're used to seeing anyway, that has an impact on the overall energy and confidence for the rest of the team. He's one of the team leaders, and the team looks to him to lead the group and keep them engaged and motivated. Then, of course, Vucevic. Vucevic. I mean, I've been kind of defending this guy all season, and I still stand by that he's a great player that does a lot of other things, even when his offense hasn't been on as much as we would like to see. But man, it's getting harder and harder to keep defending this guy because it's not just the fact that he's missing shots. It's not just the fact that he's been turning the ball over. It's the fact that more often than not, in most games this season, he's getting outworked, out-hustled by his opponent. And he looks lost a fair amount of times on both ends of the floor in terms of what he needs to be doing. He's often in the wrong place on a closeout. He doesn't follow through in defending the perimeter. He doesn't operate on the pick and roll as well as he used to. And again, it's also the overall energy that he brings to the team. I know he's not the most animated guy. He's always been a pretty stoic player, but at least showing some effort, excitement, getting guys involved and engaged, showing that you actually want to be there. I mean, part of it is I do think it's a confidence thing. I think Vucevic has lost a lot of confidence this season, which I've talked about before. He went from being the star and number one option on the Magic to now the third option on a Bulls team, and he knows he's under the microscope of the Bulls fan base who are very, very critical of our team, especially when guys don't play hard and play with that grit-like mentality. So he knows the Bulls fans aren't the happiest with him right now. He knows he's been struggling, and even when he does have a few good games, they're followed up by very poor ones. Like tonight, Vucevic was 2 for 13 from the floor for a total of 7 points. 7 points for your starting center, a guy you traded a lot for to get for an all-star level player. He did have 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. So yes, he's doing other things, but it's just his demeanor and the way he carries himself on the court that I personally have been disappointed with. And at times, he's been a liability for the Bulls on offense, which I never thought I would say about Vujovic when we traded for him. As for Derozan, I mean, the guy scored 24 points. He came to life a bit in the second half, 5 assists, but was 10 for 24 from the floor. Didn't have a single rebound tonight, and he just wasn't as aggressive in getting to the hoop and drawing contact. He was also playing a lot of isolation ball, which we know hasn't gone well for the Bulls so far this season. The bright spots for today, though, I mean, you have to start with Dosunmu, who had another very impressive game, not only for his overall production on offense, but how about his defense on Ja Morant? Don't get me wrong, Ja still got his, he put up 27 points, but for the Bulls, being without their top perimeter defenders, he did incredibly well guarding an MVP caliber level player in limiting his ability to drive to the hoop. Not sure if you guys saw the stat line, but Ayo recorded a back-to-back double-double, 15 points and 10 rebounds on 7 for 12 shooting, 6 assists, 5 steals, and 2 blocks. Yeah, a second-round pick rookie put up that kind of line against one of the best teams in the league, being guarded by one of the best players in the league. Another bright spot was Malcolm Hill, the other Chicago kid who the Bulls just signed to a 2-way contract after having waived Devon Dotson, which was sad because Dotson was also another Chicago product as well. But Hill is just in his second game with the Bulls, puts up 30 minutes off of the bench, scores 12 points along with 8 rebounds. The guy hustles and wants to show that he deserves to be in this league, and I love seeing that. Coby White, also another solid game for him, 16 points, 6 for 14 shooting. He's still shooting consistently well from 3. He also had 6 rebounds and 5 assists to go along with 16 points. And then how about Matt Thomas with a season high tonight? He was being aggressive and moving quickly, hustling for loose balls. He had 13 points, shot 3 for 4 from 3. And Trey Brown Jr. also had a nice game, scoring 14 points and 5 rebounds. I did like his energy as well, showing up well and stepping in while the team is shorthanded. So look, not the result that we wanted. Obviously, we always want the Bulls to win, but this game actually was better than I expected in the sense that you had a lot of younger guys step up and take advantage of some opportunities with players being out. But yes, I was pretty disappointed with the overall level of effort from Vucevic and Derozan, particularly Vucevic. I just don't know what has been going on with this guy and hoping he can get it together because we need him once the season comes and starts closing out and going into the postseason. Anyway, guys, the Bulls are off tomorrow. They'll be taking on the Cavs on Wednesday. I'll have a live game chat for that, so be on the lookout for it. And again, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.